we're going to have a Martha Stewart moment. If you're making a scrapbook, you go buy 3M photo mount. If you're a bald drag queen and you need to have hair, you also go buy 3M photo mount. And you spray into the wig. Counts 5. Let it get a little damp. Here we go. And voila.
So tell everybody about your film and who you are and what you did.
I'm Muffy Blake Stephyns, the film's Queen of the Capitol. Josh is my producer and director.
So we followed Muffy Blake Stephyns for a year. She's a government bureaucrat by day, and by night, she does drag for charity, raises a ton of money for charity.
Fantastic. Part of an organization called the International Imperial Court System. We've got 71 courts across North America, and everything that we do is to raise money for local charities.
Nice.
So
every year they elect an emperor and an empress, and so we followed Muffy for a full year as she ran and campaigned for empress.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it a lot like campaigning in the government job?
it is, and I used to own a campaign consulting firm, so I was able to turn on some of those kind of things as I was doing it. But yeah,
Nice.
that's why we have the campaign buttons that we're handing, and our everything uses the JFK style for the campaign. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm very fortunate to have the U.S. government to be as supportive as they are.
That's awesome.
Of LGBT employees within the government.
Yeah, because it gets a bad rap, and sometimes that's important to note that there is some good that's being done.
There is, and with all of the nastiness and the hate you hear about, there actually are some bright spots out there.
Yeah.
If we could have a little more laughter, love, and light, would be great. But there are some really bright, shining spots we do have.
And they actually let us into the Department of Labor, so we followed Daniel into the Department of Labor one day.
Nice, that's awesome. So I love having the subject of films here because I always like that perspective. Were you apprehensive at all at first? And how did you get convinced into doing a film like this?
I wasn't apprehensive. I honestly never thought there was going to be a film. I was just a drag queen being offered to have a film crew follow me around and have my own paparazzi for a year. And then 3.5 years later, he calls me and says, I have a rough cut for you to look at. And I'm like, ooh, what did I say? I don't remember what I said back then. And to have had as much film footage as it was to have been able to weave such a coherent story is really great.
And for you, gaining the trust of your subject is very important, and then shining the light on what you're trying to shine the light on. How did you feel like you approached that, and what was the thing that you really cherished most about that process?
I got really lucky because drag queens are open to begin with. Like the first time you go to film them and they are full state of undress, getting dressed, and I'm like, okay, completely open. But I mean, the court just opened their doors. Muffy and Shelby, her drag mother, just kind of let me into their lives, and it was awesome. It was really cool.
And the 3 students that work with Josh, the 4 of them really were kind of the nuts and bolts we worked with throughout that year, in and out, and they made it feel so comfortable. So I mean, some stories that I probably would not have shown with a lot of people.
Yeah.
They just literally shared with everyone.
That's fantastic. How did the screening go?
It was awesome. It
Awesome.
was really cool.
Really
Great
good.
audience participation. Like everybody was laughing at the right times.
Nice.
Exactly.
And, it was very cool.
That's the most nerve-wracking part about it, right? It's watching other people react.
And if they get the lines that you're supposed to laugh to, or it's like, that was a laughter line.
I was pacing in the back.
Yeah, sure, I bet. Nice. How have you felt like this journey has helped you and grown for you? You feel like you've grown because of this journey?
Definitely. I mean, one of the things that it gets brought out during the film is my battle with depression and almost committing suicide. And this has been a way to connect myself with more and more individuals who've dealt with the same kind of issues. And also that if my story being shared through this film, and then at the various film festivals we go to talking about it, if that can keep one person alive, then awesome. I've done my job.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. How about for you? How are you going to take what you did, Josh, in this first film to the second film?
So my second film, the one that I'm working on now, is about Baltimore City boys using ballet to get out of Baltimore City. But we're just starting pre-production right now. So I learned a ton. This is my first feature-length documentary. Nice. So I learned a ton from it. And I'm just going to kind of take all that, and then I'm going to probably hit up Muffy to help with some fundraising, because she's so good at fundraising.
Nice. So ultimately, when you tell your story and you put it out there on the screen, it is going to become one thing and it's going to resonate with the world. But what do you hope that you see for this film in the future? What is it that you hope that happens with it?
For me, it comes down to 3 words: laughter, love, and light.
Awesome.
And there's far too much hatred, divisiveness, and screaming in this country. And we all have that power every single day to make a decision. Are we going to spread laughter? Are we going to spread joy? Or are we going to spread hatred and divisiveness?
Nice.
And it's about community. We in the court system always talk about it's done for the community, from the heart. And for me, you got to think about the word community. You can't spell the word community without the word unity in it.
Oh, nice.
And we need to stand together and be able to confront those people, because there are people out there every day trying to take away everyone's rights. It's not just LGBT people's rights. It's racism. It's gentrification, on down the line. And we've all got to stand together as a community.
Nice. How about you?
So, living in D.C., you don't know that the court is there and that they do this amazing work. So I just hope everybody who sees the film comes out with an appreciation for first of all, what they go through to do this work, and the amazing work that they do in the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, have you got the bug? Are you going to be on film more now that you've experienced this, or are you like, okay, I'm done?
I don't know that I'm in the okay, I'm done, but I also wouldn't have a clue what the next one would be.
I gotcha. How about for you, Josh? What do you love about indie film?
Oh, I mean, just the opportunity now. Everybody has a camera in their hand, right? We talk on cameras every day,
Absolutely.
Right? So just go out and start making something. There were so many times where I had an idea and I was like, I'll get around to it. And this one, I was like, let's just do it. And I had some students helping me, and they were like, let's do it. So if you've got an idea, just go do it, because
Awesome.
the opportunity is there.
Awesome.
I must add, the indie bug about the whole documentary short world was something I had no clue existed.
Uh-huh.
And doing the festivals and being able to have a chance to see some of those, that's something that's been an eye-opening experience of how that can be collapsed and really convey a message in 10 to 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so I've definitely bit the indie bug bite. Whether or not I'll be in another one, that's probably up to my manager, as someone said last night.
Director, producer, and now manager.
Hey, there you go. It's screened in D.C.
We did. We had 2 screenings in D.C. We've had a screening in Palm Springs, one in Atlanta,
Nice.
one in Chesapeake,
And the Virginia Film
and then
Festival.
the Virginia Film Festival in Charlottesville, and then in 3 weeks we'll be in New York City at New Filmmakers.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We actually we had our premiere at the museum right before it closed.
Right before it-
So it was this awesome. I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
News is really important to me. We got a cool opportunity to kind of screen there in front
Wells
of
Fargo
everybody.
did a sponsorship of LGBT film.
Oh, nice.
And they chose us as the feature film to then show. They started off with
cool.
2 short films on Pride initially in San Francisco as a larger issue, but then the Stonewall Rebellion, and then we were then the feature film.
Lives are so political here.
Past month and a half, I've been out campaigning.
So I've spent the 23-hour days doing nothing but, kill the other side politics.
It's the true politicians. It's, time to go kiss the babies and shake hands and say, come vote for me.
I'm Muffy Blake Stephyns, and I approve this message.
Tonight we're announcing the candidates for Emperor and Empress 4.
My hair is my signature because the higher the hair, the closer to God. My father, to this day, is a deacon in the Southern Baptist Church that I was raised in. I'm a legislative analyst for the Department of Labor, work on the unemployment program.
I'm Shelby Jewel Stevens. Muffy is my drag daughter.
Shelby was she was sent to me at the right time. I really, truly appreciate your consideration for voting for me for Empress 4.
My name is Milan V. James Nicole. I'm now officially a candidate for Empress 4.
My name is DP Carrington. I am officially a candidate for Emperor 4.
I used to own a campaign consulting firm. They'll all bring up Facebook in more of a campaign mode. This is an election by not only the membership of the court, but the entire community gets to vote.
The nerves are there, but I think I'll be fine.
There's some nervousness there.
I'm hot, I'm sweaty, fat, hairy, and old. If I am elected as Emperor, this is what they're in for.
So there's the quiet, subtle type indoors of, and then there's the, yes, ma'am.
I've been HIV positive for 20 years now.
And I dove right into the drugs, the alcohol, the party scene.
I'm someone who was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 13. In 2012, I guess it was, my medications ceased to be working. I contemplated committing suicide because there's been some really down times.
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm motherly, because I don't want anybody to ever feel the loss and the loneliness and the failure that I had.
My drag family really are the ones that have brought me through them.
I come from a very abusive past. When the court came into town, it just was a very natural thing for me to do.
Last year I was the Duchess of Foggy Bottom.
My title, Empress II of Washington, D.C.
Arise and be known as Baroness C.I. Tooker Bottom. Well, I was a lord when I joined in 2011. The court is quite unique.
It's the Imperial Court of Washington, D.C.
With the Imperial Court, it's all about giving back.
The best way to describe us, I always say, is we're the gay Shriners, except we don't do the little cars and we just have the crowns and gowns and jewelry.
And as I've always said, if it's not my time, it's not my time. But I think the vote looks good.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage our Imperial Crown Prince and Princess, Emperor 4-elect.
Everyone comes to D.C., so this is the perfect place for us to be.
Thank you.